Welcome to the Bellevue City Council this Monday, February 12th, 2018, President Abraham Lincoln's birthday. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Okay, item 2, call to order and roll call. Sabrina, roll call, please.
Mr. Hanson?
Here.
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. Shannon?
Here.
Mr. Preister?
Here.
Mr. Burns?
Here.
Mr. Modry?
Here. This meeting will be conducted in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, copy of the act. Turn my mic on, right? This meeting will be conducted in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. A copy of the act is on the wall in the back of the City Council chambers. Item number 3, approval of agenda, consent agenda, minutes, and advisory committee reports.
Sub-item A is the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Shannon?
I would make a motion that we remove item 11C from tonight's agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Shannon, a second by Councilman Burns. Any discussion?
Thank you, Councilman Modry. I would just ask for an explanation.
This item was just settled 2 years ago. We had a big debate. We spent hours and hours going over this. The policy's been set. There's no change needed at this point. We've got a new mayor, a new city administrator coming next year. When they come in, if they want to change the policies, then the council will take it up then. But there's no reason to take this up and debate this again. We'll wait to that time.
Thank you for your explanation. I would disagree, but I accept the explanation.
Thank you. I'll call the question.
Okay, the question's been called. The motion was made. Question has been called. The motion was made to remove item 11C from the agenda. Please vote. I vote yes. I vote yes.
Vote is 5-1.
Okay, the motion passed. Yes.
I would also make a motion that we table item 3B6 until next meeting.
Yeah, we're not at that point yet.
You don't want to remove it? Okay. Then I would make a motion that we approve the agenda as modified, as amended.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Shannon, second by Councilman Cook. Any discussion? Please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Okay, next item, consent agenda.
The consent agenda, sub-item number 1 is the approval of minutes of the January 22, 2018 meeting of the City Council. Item 2, approval of claims. Item 3, approval to move the February 26 meeting to Tuesday, February 27. Item 4, approve the appointment of Dean McVicker, Susan Hester, and Dan Banky to the CDBG committee as nominated by council members Modry, Burns, and Cook, respectively. Item 5, approve and authorize the mayor to sign the master sales agreement with Extreme Network Equipment from Coverage 1 off of a state of Nebraska contract to purchase budgeted items for the Bellevue Fire Department. Item 6, approve and authorize the mayor to sign the affiliation agreement with Southeast Community College to allow Southeast Community College students to ride with the Bellevue Fire Department for field internships. Item 7, approving the release of an existing easement and right-of-way lying within lots 1 and 2, Wolf Creek Replat 3, and within Lot 1, Wolf Creek 4, and ratifying and approving a permanent 20-foot sanitary sewer easement lying within Lot 2, Wolf Creek, Replat 3. Council members, are there any of these items you'd have removed from the consent agenda?
Councilman Shannon?
I would remove items 2, the claims, and item 6.
Okay, item 2, claims, and item 6. So, item 2 will then be covered as the next item on the agenda, number 4. Okay,
I'd make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
okay, motion by Mr. Shannon, second by Mr. Preister. Any discussion? Please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Okay, so item 2, claims will come up next. Item 6 then will move to
Be current business, item
12F.
F,
12F.
12F.
Okay.
Okay, then item 4 is approval of claims.
Mr. Shannon?
All right, give me a second.
Preister.
Thank you. I would move to approve the claims, so we have them before us.
Motion by Councilman Preister, second by Councilman Burns. Discussion. Mr. Shannon?
All right. Is Karen Jackson here tonight?
She is not.
Is Rich Severson here?
He is.
Come on up, Rich, let's talk. I have a number of claims. We've discussed some of them already that I want to talk about before we just approve this. The first one I want to bring up is a Nebraska Department of Labor unemployment claim, and it's for $5,304. This is an employee that was dismissed for gross negligence, something that they received a 12-week disqualification for, and this would be a non-chargeable claim to normal businesses and would have been a non-chargeable claim to the city if for not a decision made by this city some 20 years ago that I think maybe it's time we revisit, okay? I had a discussion with the Department of Unemployment from the state today. I spoke with Mary Hinton, and the city of Bellevue has agreed to be a dollar-for-dollar, 100% reimbursable account with the state. A normal business, you pay 1% of your payroll each payday, towards your unemployment account. You run up an account. When your account gets to a certain level, you don't pay anymore. So the city's old enough that we would be sitting not paying these kinds of claims if we just built up the bank account with the state and got over it. So I think it's time that we reanalyze this and determine, what would be the cost to get that bank, what would be the cost, level we have to get on deposit with the state, so we're not paying these kinds of claims. The taking on of part-timers in the fire department and other things the city are doing right now are increasing the liability exposure in this area, and we're going to see a lot more claims, and we're going to be paying a lot more claims if we don't do something. So I think this is something we need to analyze and take a look at.
Any thoughts, Mr. Severson?
I'd leave that up to the city administrator to go ahead and direct the Human Resources Benefits Department to provide some more information, and then I can do the math for anyone that needs it to do some analysis to see what that 1% of the $9,000 per employee would be versus a one-off payment of unemployment.
Next claim I had a question on was there was a $200 expense in here for the Bellevue Chamber. It's labeled a Board of Directors meeting, but I understand that's not what it is.
That's for one of the council members for their chamber meetings.
Dues.
Not dues, but a payment
Lunches.
for all of the lunches during those meetings.
The meetings are billed individually. Dues are $200 a year, and that's what this bill is for. Are chamber dues
It's-
something we're billing the city for as council members?
No, this council member is attending the meetings as a representative of the city, and the billing is for lunches. Is that correct, Mr. Burns?
That is correct. So my understanding is so they have it at Bellevue University, and so it's over the lunch hour. So it's as provided. That's just where they have their meetings.
Oh,
And
this is a Leadership Bellevue class.
No.
no,
No.
the chamber meetings take place in Bellevue University. So in there they do provide lunch. So I think as part of being a member and going to those meetings, I think it encompasses all of it, is my understanding.
Okay.
It's a
just didn't
convenience issue.
Okay. I didn't understand the bill, so I just wanted clarification. Then we have a travel reimbursement in here for $600 for another council member. I'm not sure I understand why that's a council expense.
The council expense is because we asked Mr. Preister to alter his trip. I believe you were in Arizona. We asked him to come back for a vote at the last meeting. He did oblige us, and so we are reimbursing him for the travel expenses incurred therein.
Okay, but he was coming back anyway.
He was not coming back on the day of the council meeting.
Mr. Preister, I understand you came back and went back again, right?
To clarify, I had not intended to come back until this Saturday. My return flight was on the 10th, this Saturday, but because of the contract that we had before us to ratify for the firefighters, I had attended the meeting where the discussion was, and it was voted down. And because I was on Skype only and could not vote, which was unfortunate, even though I have tried to get the legislature to change that, it wasn't allowed. Therefore, some information wasn't shared at the meeting, and some council members chose to vote down that contract. At that point, I saw no other option when I saw that some council members were requesting that it be a full council to vote on it. And I wasn't going to be here. The mayor wasn't going to be here at this meeting, so it was the best decision, probably by the administration that I concurred with, to come back. And I came back, had to get a quick flight, probably a little more expensive than it would have been, but I got the cheapest one that I could get. And that $600 isn't just the flight, that's also reimbursement for internet. Most of it is the flight.
My question is, I guess, that I understand that, but whose decision is that to have any one of us, if I'm gone, to come back to vote? Is that the council, or is it Mr. Mangiamelli, or is it the mayor, or who makes that decision?
Well, each council member has a budgeted amount for expenses. And so this amount is being charged to Mr. Preister's budget appropriation in this year's budget. And it was my request.
Any further discussion? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Captain Stonehouse for calling me back today there's a payment in here I just want to discuss briefly to the city of La Vista for $20,000. This is the first year we're doing this, but this sets up our police academy. No longer are we going to be paying travel and lodging and meals on our academy cadets to go across the state and be trained somewhere else. They're going to be trained right here in the local areas, so it's a savings of $20,000 that we're spending $20,000. So this is a great non-budgetary item and should be a tremendous asset to the police department. So I appreciate you explaining that one.
Any further discussion? Okay.
I had one more. I don't know if I got an answer to this one or not. We are paying out a liability claim this time of $38,800.
We're gonna have the risk management person
Okay.
talk to you about this to find
I know.
out just how much information we can give you on this.
And I appreciate that. There's some privacy issues.
Yeah.
Right. This actually was a liability claim from 2015 that involved a police or a fire department medic unit responding to a call when they accidentally hit a car that had pulled over into the bike lane, actually. So the driver of the car had some back and neck injuries and sued the city. And this was in 2015. We had a $50,000 deductible policy with our auto liability, and we were also not self-insured at that point. So travelers had the choice of attorney. They used Ryan Kunholt from AKC.
Kunert.
And what is his name?
Kunert.
Kunert. I only know him as Ryan, so sorry, Ryan. This actually was the final bill. It broke down to a total of $48,819, with $39 actually being paid to the claimant. There was like $3,700 in property damage to the vehicle, and then the defense expenses were a little over $6,000. So, and none of that, of course, is reimbursable because
That was going to be my question.
Yeah.
Because we weren't yet self-insured, is there any reimbursement to the city?
no, because that would almost satisfy our deductible. But there is a signed settlement and release.
There are no further payments to this person?
None.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, no further discussion. Council, please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, special presentations, none. Item 6, liquor licenses.
Sub-item A is Bellevue Volunteer Firefighters Hall, application for a special designated liquor license to sell beer, wine, and distilled spirits during a beer garden outside of 2108 Franklin Street for the St. Patrick's Day event on March 17, 2018, from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Wishes of the council? Oh, yes, is there anyone here to represent Bellevue firefighters? Paul?
Hi, Glenn Kolscheen, first name Glenn, Kolscheen, Kolscheen. I can answer any questions you have in regards to this.
Questions from the council? I will now open this item to a public hearing. Anybody who wishes to speak on this item may please come forward. Okay, seeing none, I'll...
Are the Shenanigans going to be there?
Yes,
That's what I thought.
Shenanigans is our live band for the.
I don't know how I knew that.
Yeah, maybe Facebook, I don't know.
Okay, anyone from the public wish to speak? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Councilman Cook?
Thank you. I'll make a motion that we recommend approval to the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission for the Bellevue Volunteer Firefighters Hall application for a special designated liquor license to sell beer, wine, and distilled spirits during a beer garden outside 2108 Franklin Street for St. Patrick's Day event on March 17, 2018, from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilman Cook, second by Councilman Hanson. Discussion? I will be abstaining from voting on this item for religious and personal reasons. Please vote.
5 yes votes, 1 abstention.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Item 7, ordinances for adoption, third reading, 7A.
Sub-item A is ordinance number 3895, repealing ordinance number 3879, creating street improvement districts number 2017-1 through 2017-4, inclusive. I'll read the title. An ordinance to repeal ordinance number 3879, adopted by the Bellevue City Council on May 8, 2017, creating street improvement districts number 2017-1 to 2017-4, inclusive, in the city of Bellevue, Nebraska.
Okay, Councilman Shannon.
I move to approve item 7A.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Shannon, second by Mr. Hanson. Any discussion? Please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Sub-item B is ordinance number 3896, repealing ordinance number 3879, creating sidewalk improvement districts number 2017-1 through 2017-6. I'll read the title. An ordinance to repeal ordinance number 3879, adopted by the Bellevue City Council on August 14, 2017, creating sidewalk improvement districts number 2017-1 to 2017-6, inclusive, in the city of Bellevue, Nebraska.
Councilman Preister.
Motion to approve ordinance number 3896.
Motion by Councilman Preister, second by Councilman Burns. Any discussion? Please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Sub-item C is ordinance number 3897, creating street improvement districts number 2018-1 through 2018-6 for the purpose of bonding. The title of the ordinance is an ordinance creating street improvement districts number 2018-1 to 2018-6, inclusive, in the city of Bellevue, Nebraska, ordering the construction of street improvements therein, and ordering the publication of the ordinance in pamphlet form.
Councilman Preister.
Thank you. Motion to approve ordinance number 3897.
Motion by Councilman Preister, second by Councilman Burns. Discussion? Please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Sub-item D is ordinance number 3898, creating sidewalk improvement districts 2018-1 through 2018-6, inclusive. Title of the ordinance is an ordinance creating sidewalk improvement districts number 2018-1 to 2018-6, inclusive, in the city of Bellevue, Nebraska, ordering the construction of sidewalk improvements therein, and ordering the publication of the ordinance in pamphlet form.
Councilman Burns.
I move to approve ordinance number 3898.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cook. Discussion? Please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Sub-item E is ordinance number 3899, amending sections 5.22, 5.23, and 5.24 of the Bellevue zoning ordinance regarding self-service laundry facilities. The applicant is TCH Inc. and in the city of Bellevue. The title of the ordinance is an ordinance to amend sections 5.22, 5.23, and 5.24, ordinance number 3619 Bellevue zoning ordinance relating to laundry self-service automatic in the BG General Business Zoning District, BGM Metropolitan General Business Zoning District, and BGH Heavy General Business Zoning District, to repeal such sections as heretofore existing, to provide an effective date of the ordinance, and to provide for the publication of the ordinance in pamphlet form.
Councilman Shannon.
I'd make a motion to approve ordinance 3899.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Shannon, second by Councilman Preister. Discussion? Councilman Shannon.
I would move to amend ordinance 3899. Instead of striking the limit of 30, I would move that we change the limit to 50. I'm not prepared at this time to say that we should take a door that we don't know what's on the other side and just kick it open and Katie bar the door of what's coming through. I think that we should open the door slowly. This project coming forward is for 48 washers in a facility. I think we move the limit to 50. We see what happens. I'd also like to see some restrictions on, loading spaces and parking so that these facilities are more accessible to people. A laundry facility, certainly like a storage facility, needs loading spaces for people to load and unload laundry. And there's nothing in our code right now for that, so I'd like to see that added at the same time. And I'll look at the parking requirements for making this better. These facilities are great for the first 2 or 3 owners. They've got to get their money out of them, so they take real good care of them. It's 4 or 5 owners down the road where these become very seedy places and bad things start happening in there. So I don't think we want to open up real quick and cause problems 20 years down the road by allowing giant facilities when we don't know what's going to happen as we allow them to get bigger. Thank you.
Any comments, Mr. Shuchuk, or?
I have no objection to the amendment.
So Chris, can you cite specifically what section should be amended to strike or to
Yeah.
include the 50 so that Sabrina has it?
Basically, anywhere that we've crossed through the 30, where we were striking that out, we'll change it to 50.
It's in 5.22.02, line VV, we would add the 50. 5.22.02, paragraph 1, subsection VV.
Like Victor?
Yes.
Okay.
Section 5.2302, paragraph 1, subsection UU, uniform. And 5.24.02, paragraph 1, subsection UU also.
5.2402.
02, paragraph 1, subparagraph UU.
Okay.
And Chris, can you find a place to put the requirement for 2 parking spots for loading and unloading?
Yes, that would be, there's just some general requirements in there as well, we can do that. Yes.
Mr. Buckley, these are not significant enough changes to require a public hearing?
No, I would say they're not.
Okay.
We need a second.
I'll make a second for discussion.
Okay.
I need,
Second by,
so basically what the motion is going from 48, we're at 30, and the original ordinance was to go up to 48.
The ordinance as written and presented did not have a limit. So the 30 was just stricken and there was no limit. Mr. Shannon is suggesting a 50 machine limit.
And the second part of the amendment was to require a two stall, load, unload.
Two parking spaces for loading and unloading.
So current facilities would be grandfathered, is that correct?
Yes, they would.
okay, any further discussion? Okay, so the Motion on the table is to amend the ordinance so that paragraphs 5.2.2.02, paragraph 1, Victor, Victor, paragraphs 5.2.3.02, paragraph 1, Uniform, Uniform, paragraph 5.2.4.02, paragraph 1, Uniform, Uniform, be amended to reflect 50 machines. And then in the general conditions, provision for 2 parking spots for loading, unloading will be inserted. Okay. Any questions? Okay, please vote. I vote, oh,
This is on the
yes,
amendment.
on the amendment, yes. I vote yes. Yes, vote on the amendment. Okay. We'll now vote on the ordinance as amended. Please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Okay, sub-item F is ordinance number 3900, rezoning lots 1 through 227 and outlots A through D Falcon Point from AG to RS 72 and RG 50 PS for the purpose of residential development. The applicant is Charleston Homes. General location is southwest corner of 48th Street and Capehart Road. I'll read the title of the ordinance. An ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the city of Bellevue, Nebraska as provided for by Article 3 of Ordinance Number 3619 by changing the zone classification of land located at or about the southwest corner of South 48th Street and Capehart Road, more particularly described in Section 1 of the ordinance, and to provide an effective date.
Councilman Cook?
Thank you. I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance number 3900.
Second by Councilman Preister. Motion was by Councilman Cook. Discussion? Councilman Shannon?
I have a concern that it seems every subdivision brought to us recently has a reduction in the front yard size from 35 to 25. Why do we keep doing this? We either have rules or we don't. Why are we reducing people's front yards again?
Mr. Shuchuk?
Is that a question? Yes. Well, the council, in this case, they are asking for the reduction so that it matches the R72 zoning, which already has a 25-foot front yard setback, so they don't have a development with one area with larger setbacks than the other, make it more uniform. As far as other developments, that's certainly up to the council. The reasoning that the developers have given is provided for in the staff report in writing from the developer, and it's up to the council to approve or deny that request for the change in setbacks. And the council has been voting to approve those.
Go ahead.
So on the RS-72, are the typical setbacks at 25 feet right now? Is that where they are?
Yes, in the front yard, they are
Front yard.
25 feet.
And so what he's asking for is a variance on the villas in the front to match that.
That is correct.
From 35, which RG 50 would be 35 front yard normal, but he's trying to match them both.
That is correct.
So, but the RS-72 would have a normal 25, so that's typical,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
So we're
no,
not
there's,
really
there's,
making anything
there's no change in the RS-72 being requested.
He's just making for the villas to match where the.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Any further discussion? Okay, please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Sub-item A then is the approval of the preliminary plat for lots 1 through 227 and outlots A through D Falcon Point.
Councilman Cook?
Thank you. Oops, pulling too many. I'll make a motion that we approve the preliminary plat for lots 1 through 227 and outlots A through D for Falcon Point.
Motion by Councilman Cook, second by Councilman Burns. Is there any discussion? Council, please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Okay. Item 8, ordinances for public hearing, second reading, none. Item 9, ordinances for introduction, first reading.
Sub-item A is ordinance number 3901, compensation ordinance. As we are nearing the completion, hopefully soon, of our contract negotiations with the various bargaining units, it is time to update our compensation ordinance for administrative personnel and the directors, and this ordinance is that first step. No action is required this evening. We would have public hearing at the next meeting. We would hope that if there's any questions council members have, that you would get them to us in advance of the next meeting so that we can answer the same.
Mr. Shannon, do you have a question?
I do. Can we simplify this ordinance? It seems like the entire ordinance is redundant. We're coming back and saying everything's by contract now, line by line by line by line, and, you know, you could take care of this in one sentence saying if it ain't here, it's by contract, or maybe we could get rid of this ordinance because all we're doing is following up on the contracts. Is there anything left in this ordinance that's not in the contracts that we really need it for?
Yes, you have the directors and the administrative personnel that I mentioned, which are not covered by contract.
Okay, Mr. Buckley, can we clean this up and shorten it down so that we don't have to have a bunch of lines that all say by contract?
I'm not sure that we want to do that. I mean, I'd have to look and see how we could accomplish that, but I mean, I know it's been doing it this way since we've been here for 10 years. But I think for consistency purposes, it should probably stay the way it is.
Because we always did it that way. Got it.
Well, it shows clearly the dates that the various contracts that have been approved to date have been effective and their passage by the city council. So it is helpful information because it is a one source then place for salary ranges.
That's to follow up on that. That's kind of what I was thinking too. Is just instead of having two different documents, to keep it all in one, I think would be preferable.
Okay, so public hearing on this item will be on our next meeting, February 27th.
That's correct.
Item 10, public hearing on matters other than ordinances, none. Item 11, resolutions.
Sub-item A is resolution number 2018-04, amending the master fee schedule to add the pet advocacy permit fees.
Councilman Cook?
Thank you. I'll make a motion we approve resolution number 2018-04.
Motion by Councilman Cook, second by Councilman Shannon. Any discussion? Please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Sub-item B is resolution number 2018-05, designating the Bellevue Bicycle Club's annual Ride of Silence on May 16, 2018, from 7 to 8 p.m. as a special event for the use of a portion of Highway 370 from 42nd Street East to the northbound exit lane of Fort Crook Road.
Councilman Preister?
Councilman
Burns.
I move to approve resolution number 2018-05.
Motion by Councilman Preister, by Councilman Burns, second by Councilman Preister. Any discussion? Please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Sub-item 11C was removed from the council agenda. Sub-item D is resolution number 2018-07, approving the City of Bellevue 1- and 6-year plan. We're here to answer questions.
Yes, please come forward.
Good evening, Council President, members of the council. Bobby Riggs, Bellevue Street Superintendent. A little bit of technical difficulties. At any rate, I just wanted to come up and briefly walk through some of the highlights in this year's 2018 1 and 6 plan. Currently, the package that you have before you tonight is a total of 98 projects and sub-projects that will carry us through fiscal year 2023. For 2018, we have a total package of 21 projects totaling nearly $11 million. In that, the majority of the projects planned are resurfacing projects. Currently, we have 7 citywide resurfacing projects scheduled. That's all right. We can go without it. That's okay. In addition to that, we'll be doing 4 advanced construction projects, concrete rehab, doing pavement repairs, sidewalk repairs, curb and gutter repairs ahead of some upcoming resurfacing projects that we'll have planned for 2019. There are 2 projects in the package that have already been completed with the cost savings nearly $60,000. One was done in-house in the fall, and that was the erosion mitigation project off of Bellevue Boulevard South and Park Ave. And the other one was 5-box culvert on Fort Crook Road, just south of Harlan Drive. That was approved by council on emergency basis in the fall. We had that planned for this year to be completed. Bridge inspection information came back. I needed to take care of that a little bit sooner than what we had planned on doing. That was completed. We have some follow-up work to finish that out in the spring. That as well came in under budget. I think, like I said, a total of almost $60,000 of planned city spending with those 2 projects combined that we saved. That being said, there are 3 projects, carryover projects. 2 of them were slated to be completed last year. One will be completed as a carryover on Cornhusker, the advanced concrete repairs ahead of this year's resurfacing project. The other 2 are engineering planning work to be done. 25th Street Whittick Creek Bridge, we'll be planning on completing that engineer work this year, and the rehab work that is slated for the Galvin and Hanson pedestrian bridge. The remainder out-year projects, there's 77 in total, accounting for $43 million of the package total. The majority of the projects planned are high-end maintenance plans, again consisting of our advanced construction projects and also resurfacing. One item I think I maybe better step back and review. There are 2 projects on the 1-year plan that we're already looking at identifying as potential carryovers that will be addressed in the upcoming CIP when we revise that in the summer. And again, with budget prep work that we'll be doing along that same time frame for fiscal year 2019. We had some preliminary indications that Project 122B, year 2 of the engineering and design work on South 36th Street, that probably won't take off quite as fast as what we had anticipated. Anticipate the bulk of that expense not being paid for in full in fiscal year 2018. And the other one is the reconstruction of Cunningham Road. that project will be let this year. Anticipate the reconstruction to begin in fourth quarter of fiscal year 2018, but the majority of the expense will hit in fiscal year 2019. Sorry, the presentation didn't come up, but if you have any questions or any comments that you'd like me to hit on.
Thank you, Mr. Riggs. Councilman Shannon?
Mr. Riggs, I spoke to you over a year ago about constituent concerns on 28th Avenue near Capehart.
Yes.
We've got a roadway there that, when it was annexed by the city, the road doesn't have storm drains. It runs downhill in the winter. It turns into a skating area. Cars slide. Kids are trying to walk there. I mean, we've got a public safety issue. I don't see that addressed in your plan.
That is not in the current plan. You are correct in saying that. We looked at the capacity and the runoff there. Everything down at the bottom of 28th Ave and Leawood seems to handle everything that the current conditions would require. Having said that, there is some older pavement there that we started to address some of that with some wastewater work that they began about midway up the block last year. We plan to continue to work a little bit to the south, nearing that intersection, to get some of that water to channel around and into those structures there. But as far as taking on a project where we're redoing the drainage in there, you're absolutely correct. We don't have any current plans to rebuild any of the drainage in that area.
Have we estimated a cost of that project?
No, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Councilman Preister?
Bobby, we live in a tough climate, and taking care of streets is a big challenge when you get the freezing and the thawing and the changes. You guys do a great job. Your staff, Public Works out on the streets, I think, do an excellent job. Trying to be proactive, as this 1 and 6 year plan is, I think is the way to go. You're looking at systematically going through upgrading roads and doing it in an orderly fashion so that we don't get way behind and then get more criticism. So I like the approach. I think it's always got to be a little bit in flux because things happen. You get some things breaking down sooner and you make some minor adjustments as you did. So I appreciate you pointing those out. A final comment, I've heard many people in my area very grateful for the snow plowing and the quick service and the convenience, and when things did not go as they might want, and sometimes I had to contact you, you were very responsive, and your staff was as well, and got things resolved. So I just want to publicly commend you and all of the street workers out there in very cold, challenging conditions, going out to do the job no matter the time of day or when it was needed, and doing a very good job. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mangiamale.
Go ahead, Mr. Cook.
Mr. Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Riggs. I just got one question pertaining to this. Wooded Creek, you're saying the engineering and then the building of that bridge is going to be pushed back?
Yes.
Okay. And the only reason why I want to bring it up is just a little bit of a concern that once, and I don't know the exact timing of actually doing, when we will see work on 36th Street, my only thought would be is that when that bridge was repaired, Wooded Creek Bridge, it was somewhat of a temporary job, and part of my concern is that once there is work being done on 36th Street, we'll push more traffic to that location. Just a thought that we might see a lot more traffic at that point, people staying away from 36, more likely to come down maybe 25th Street, get off the interstate, coming down 25th Street, then maybe work their way west through neighborhoods. But my only concern is that bridge.
Yeah.
And will it be able to handle, I'm assuming a couple years of work on 36th Street once the dirt starts moving there.
Yeah, obviously, traffic flow is going to be a big concern when we're having reconstruction projects going on. And I think with the timing of both 36th Street and Phase 1 construction and that 25th Street Bridge replacement project going on, I think what you'll find is that some of the work that the state's doing further east on the Kennedy and 75 in that corridor is probably going to be a little bit more viable option to detour and reroute traffic as we move forward on those two projects. I definitely keep that in mind. Having only a couple corridors north and south to move traffic to.
And that's part of my concern in that they're not done at the same time.
Right.
It would be nice to get Wooded Creek done first because of the more traffic, but just let's not have many projects. You know, there was one time we had something on Cornhusker 370 and down in Capehart Road, and some of it was not ours. I mean, it was county, state, so I'm not blaming our
and
street
36th
department.
Street is to some degree that same scenario where some of the timing hasn't necessarily been advantageous to us, and it's kind of been beyond our control of the way things have kind of developed and moved forward. So
Just as long as the timing issue works.
right.
That's my big concern.
Mr. Roberts?
Thank you.
Yeah, one thing to bring up on 36th Street is the way this is being phased, it's going to be built under traffic. And so the hopes is that if you use 36, you continue to use 36, but it'll be made convenient for you with the access road that they'll build along with this.
Mr. Mangiamelli?
Yes, this 1 and 6 year plan parallels the capital improvement program, where in the first year are projects that we fully expect to get completed within the time frame. The remainder of the projects, as Mr. Riggs described, are ones that we fully intend, pending funding and potential reprioritization of projects. This report, though, is required by the state of Nebraska as one more document that we have to submit to support our receipt of tax dollars from the gasoline tax and from motor vehicle registrations.
Any other questions for Mr. Riggs? Or okay, what are the wishes of council? Mr.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2018-07.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Shannon, second by Councilman Preister. Any further discussion? Please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Okay, item 12, current business.
Sub-item A is approval of addendum number 2 to the GIS, Geographic Information System Interlocal Agreement. $25,630 for FY 2018 and $32,902 for FY 2019.
Councilman Preister.
Thank you. Motion to approve the addendum number 2 as just described.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Preister, second by Councilman Burns. Discussion. Councilman Shannon.
Looking back on this item, there was some discussion that the original agreement and first addendum were not equitable distributions between the cities and the county, and there was some discussion that Bellevue felt we were paying more than our fair share at that time. Does this second addendum address those concerns or restructure any of these agreements to deal with any of these issues?
No, it's the same structure that was when it was created back in 2012. This contract runs out in 2019. Once that does, we are going to more of a streamlined formula for this, and also we'll only be doing 2-year contracts instead of multi-year like this one has been. And so that'll take care of any issues that we find in the future. But it is the way it was written back then, and that's how we'll finish it out.
And it's all the cities in Sarpy County affected by this, right?
Yeah, it includes the cities of Sarpy, Sarpy County itself, and then the NRD.
Any further discussion? Okay, please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Sub-item B is authorizing the renewal of a lease of a vehicle for use by the officer assigned to the DEA task force.
Councilman Shannon.
I move to approve item 12B. This is a non-budgetary item. We're being reimbursed for this, so there's no cost to the city.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Shannon, second by Councilman Cook. Any discussion? Okay, please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Sub-item C is approval to enter into a TRAX agreement contract, a software sharing agreement on a renewable basis with the Nebraska State Patrol.
Councilman Shannon.
Move to approve item 12C.
Second.
Second by Councilman Hanson. Any discussion? Councilman Cook.
Just real quick, just reading the material we got, going in this direction will be very helpful to police officers. It will save a substantial amount of time to be able to scan, say, a driver's license or Nebraska ID card and have that transferred over to reports.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Sub-item D is approval of Exhibit B, a sub-license agreement between the Nebraska Crime Commission and the Bellevue Police Department to operate the TRAX software.
And I'll move to approve item 12D.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Councilman Shannon, second by Councilman Preister. Discussion? Okay, please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes, and yes, I will live.
Item E is the approval of the Marathon Equity LLC redevelopment agreement and TIF note.
Councilman Cook.
Make a motion, we approve the Marathon Equity LLC redevelopment agreement and the TIF note.
A motion by Councilman Cook, second by Councilman Burns. Discussion? Councilman,
I thought the object of TIF financing was that this was for projects that wouldn't be going forward without this, and that we were using TIF to attract new businesses. Now we've got an existing business that's going to do this project whether we TIF it or not, and we're sitting here giving away money again. So I just question why we keep using TIF, you know, for people that are already here for 2, 3, and 4 phases of a project, you know, for existing businesses that can afford to do these projects without the TIF money instead of using it to attract new businesses to Bellevue like it's intended to.
Mr. Manager.
Attraction of new business is one of the goals of TIF, but retention and expansion of existing business is also a goal of the tax increment financing law. So this is all done in accord with the law that is on the books currently.
I guess the question is, but for, you know, would it be able to happen but for a TIF? I don't know.
That's a difficult question. Was that asked at the Planning Commission meeting, Chris? I know that generally
That would have been part of the redevelopment plan that was approved by the
Council
Planning
already.
Commission, the council, some time ago.
That is a legal requirement of TIF, is it not?
it is.
Yes. The redevelopment plan is required to be approved first, and that was approved, I believe, at the second meeting in November last fall.
Any further discussion or questions? Okay, please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Okay, 12F then is from the consent agenda, item 6. Approve and authorize the mayor to sign affiliation agreement with Southeast Community College to allow Southeast Community College students to ride with the Bellevue Fire Department for field internships.
Councilman Shannon.
I worked with legal on this today, and we're going to hold this item over till next council meeting so they can finish the legal work. Anything done with patient information and privacy requires a separate HIPAA business associate agreement, and that wasn't part of our packet, so allowing legal time to prepare that document and make necessary changes, we're just going to hold this over. We've already talked with Southeast Community College, and there will be no impact by the delay, so this will allow legal time to make this more sufficient for the council.
Are you making a motion to that effect?
I
I was
am.
going to say, who's we?
Okay.
Me and the mouse in my pocket, yeah. It's like, yeah.
Motion to hold over till February
Continue.
27th?
Continue
Or
to-
continue to our next meeting, February 27th. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilman Hanson. Any discussion? Okay, please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Item 13, administration reports. Please limit any comments to items in the current reports. Councilman Shannon.
Rich, come see me. I would direct everybody to page 213 of our council packet. There are two charts at the top of that page. Actually, more correctly, there are two dials at the top of that page. One is our current financial condition, which is 3/4 of the way to the good, and our forecast for the future, which is less than half. So this is a drastic change. This is a significant change in the forecast of the city's financial future. So I've asked Mr. Severson to come talk to us, tell us what he sees that has made this forecast and what we need to do to help improve this forecast. So, Rich, take it away.
Well, I'm glad that it caught your eye. I keep trying to put together different financial looks that will get attention, be informative, and although a couple of the rudimentary dials at the top maybe aren't perfect, and certainly they aren't metered in any specific fashion, but what I tried to do is get a one-page look at where we are in the first quarter of this fiscal year, which it tells you something, it gives you some direction, but we have to pretty much guess, are we going to be on track for the next 9 months? And so these were kind of me trying to illustrate my thoughts on where we were. I think we're in good, stable condition right now. You look, and we've increased our cash positions from this time last year and from the end of our last fiscal year. Our debt is manageable, tenable. So I said, yeah, I just wanted to kind of put something there. As an accountant, I'm not gonna put it to the floor over there and say that everything's perfect, but I think we're in good shape. The next dial, that's what you pay me for. You pay me to worry about this stuff. And so I look at it, and our best guess is that we're going to make it to the end of the year within the appropriations, and we won't have to do any amendments. However, it's possible. We have a lot of big projects going on, and the good news is there's a lot of big projects going on, so you can manage them, and some are going to come out favorable. Others, we're going to spend a little more than we wanted to, so we have some room to move. That forecast is saying, if everything would go bad, such as, let's say, a stock market, as you saw over the last couple of weeks, everything's going good, and then all of a sudden something happens that, although it should have been obvious, it seems to be a surprise to everyone. That's what that dial says is, you know, I think we're gonna be okay, but if some of the costs continue to move up and our revenues would not meet those costs, the growth rates, we could be, you know, looking at an amended budget. By no means would we be worried about cash like it was in past years, you know. That we're sitting pretty good. We can weather some of these storms. This would be a situation where, because of some of our projects, we spent a little more than we had originally budgeted. In some of those cases, it looks like we're spending more than budget this year because of timing of payments. We wanted to get them into last year. Some of the projects weren't far enough along that we could comfortably pay them. So there's some things that go on behind the scenes that we just have to manage going forward. But that's what that dial is. That's me worrying about it and trying to get the attention of everyone and saying, you know, if we don't continue to manage our expenditures, things could go wrong. They're, you know, they just could. But right now, they're good, and we'll know more after 6 months go by. March 31st, we'll look at it again. We'll have 6 months left, 6 months in the books, and we'll see how we're doing.
So the inherent message here is, as we keep appropriating money for various projects, we need to watch and make sure that they're budgeted. And if they're not, we need to look for your seal of approval before we start allocating money that's unbudgeted.
I think we'll try to keep you apprised of
Okay.
any of those situations. And
Okay.
we'll watch and we'll see. Certainly by June or July, we'll know whether we need to reappropriate any funds because of the way some of these things worked out.
And is the revenue side or the expense side more the worry for you right now?
Well, expenditures are what you appropriate, and that's what we have to live by. And we do have a well-paid, competitive workforce. And so as long as the departments manage those costs, we should be okay on the operational side. I think it would just be some of the bigger projects, streets, the Wall Street buildings, some of those things that we just have.
Cost overrun on pools, some different things like that.
Things
Exactly.
can happen. And I'm not saying that they're not the right thing to do. You know, these are estimates that we had to put in place early on, so.
Mr. Manchiamelli?
I was just going to say what I think Rich has already said, that we monitor these monthly and we'll continue to monitor. And if there is a hiccup that he's concerned about, we'll bring it to the council. We'll address it through our department heads. So you'll know well in advance, not only of any concerns we have, but corrective action that we would propose.
Any other, Councilman Preister?
Thank you. Just to comment, this is pretty standard for any finance person especially. You want to say the position, which in this case is good, but there's always that cautionary flag. You always want to cover your tail and say, but if, and you want to make sure that everybody's paying attention, and you want to make sure that everybody's holding the line and not going overboard. And so we as a council say that, and we watch closely, but you're saying that, the administration saying that, the mayor says it along with the city administrator. So we're all on board. We all hear it from the citizens too. So I think this is just good monitoring, and this is a good opportunity to have the issue raised, and I appreciate that we had the discussion.
Yeah. Look at the numbers, not some of my graphics.
Numbers look good.
Thank you, Mr. Severson. Any other discussion on the administrator's report? Okay. Next item, item 14, public request to be heard. Any member of the public addressing the council shall abide by Council Policy Resolution Number 35 regarding principles of conduct and decorum, which states, any statements made during city council meetings by the mayor, members of the city council, city officials and employees, or members of the general public shall not involve personal, impertinent, or slanderous attacks on individuals, regardless of whether the individual so attacked is an elected official, a city official or employee, or a member of the general public. In City Code Section 2-68 regarding manner of addressing the council, copies of the aforementioned rules are posted outside the council chambers. Speakers shall limit their presentations to 5 minutes. Anyone wish to come forward? Please sign in, state your name for us.
Good evening. My name is Michael Wills. I live at 1321 Harrison Street. Yeah, I had to look at it. Anyway, two quick things. First of all, I'd like to reinforce what Councilman Preisler said. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. About the street cleaning this winter. I know we're not done with it yet, probably. We'll probably have a couple more. But they have done a wonderful job. I haven't had to slip and slide very much at all this year. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is that President Trump put forth his infrastructure bill this morning, and I know it's way premature, but one of the things you learn in the Army is contingency planning. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is so that if that bill gets passed, and he's talking about public-private partnerships, we have a lot, as we saw tonight, plans in the works. If we do some contingency planning, where we can leverage some private money to go along with the public monies that we already have, when that bill gets passed, if it gets passed in any good form, we can go to the state or whomever, the federal government, and say, we've got a project, here is some things. I'm not telling anybody what to do, I'm just saying that contingency planning is always better than looking in the rearview mirror. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Wills.
I'm Doreen Sherman, and I live at 2532 Main Street. I've lived in Bellevue a long time. The first I ever heard of Bellevue was I worked very hard because I taught in a rural school in northeast Nebraska in 1949 during the greatest blizzard we ever had. And I taught the fourth grade history all about Bellevue, the first city in Nebraska. Oh, I was so excited to hear about it and someday visit it. Never dreaming I would someday live here. And then in 1954, my husband and I got married and we moved here, and we've been here ever since. When we came here, we had so many stores up and down the street, and it was really, really a busy, busy town. But what I wanted to talk about was that I wanted to say this is a very historical night in the history of Bellevue, because it's the last night that we have the city council meeting right here in these chambers, and how many hundreds and even thousands of people have worked in this building. I don't even know how long it's been here, but I'm assuming that it's been here since Bellevue started. I'm not sure. I would like to know that, though. I'd like to find that out. But have people that have worked here in this building and up and down the streets, and we have the best police department and the best fire department anywhere around. And like he mentioned, the streets have been taken care of so well and all this. And every night it snows more. And the next morning, the truck, I live on Main Street, and the truck comes up there and cleans the street, and it's wonderful. And I'm really grateful to all the people that have put their lives and devoted their lives to keeping this city alive. It's a lot of work, a lot more work than most people even know anything about. And so we're especially grateful to this city council, and I look forward to the fact that you can go into the beautiful building with all the new electronic equipment that you need to make it run properly. But the two people in the back that do all all of the audio work for us, they're such wonderful people, and they do such great things for us, and they do wonderful photos, and the whole I'm so sorry, I'm at a loss for words, but because I hadn't even thought about getting up here and talking about this till I found out this was the last night here. And everyone will have so much more to work with up there, and it'll make it so much easier to run the city of Bellevue. And again, I just say I want to thank everybody for your hard work, and everyone throughout all of the years that have kept this city alive. I appreciate it, and I hope we continue on this path, and I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Mrs. Sherman. Yes, sign in, please. It's not often you're at a loss for words, Doreen.
No, I know. I know it isn't. Sorry.
And we thank you for the nice work.
Oh, these two wonderful people that take all these, that keep the audio running are just awesome. You all are, especially the police department and the fire department. I really appreciate you all, everybody.
Anyone else like to come forward?
Tough act to follow, I'll say that. I do agree with the two previous speakers. I'm Chuck Frederick, 1511 Madison Street. It's my understanding there'll be one more meeting here, is that correct? This is a meeting right now? I was told otherwise, now I'm told again another time. Well,
You can come here next month if you want to.
well, I'll probably get the same responses I get when you're here anyway, so. A couple meetings ago, Mr. Sullivan said if I asked for the website, my website being on the minutes, it would be there, but it wasn't, and I want my website on there, chuckfrederick.com. There's a lot to look at and read about that one. Now, when I ran for mayor, some of the things I suggested was going to do is I was going to eliminate the assistant city administrator. Now that we no longer have one, I would suggest we wait until the next election and see who becomes mayor, who becomes city administrator, and then we'll go from there. So we can wait 6, 7 months without having an assistant city administrator. That would, our budget is tight right now. That will save us some money. Again, I've always talked about having a full-time city attorney. I've asked about a monthly balance sheet. We need that. Definitely, we need to have Charlie Jensen come down and do an audit. I mean, this is fundamental for us to see just where we stand. And I'm always still wondering why we don't have a bond rating. I don't quite understand that. And that TIF money, when Menards moved down here, we gave them TIF money. Council Bluffs, Menards went over there, and Council Bluffs Council said, no, we're not going to give you any, and they still built in the same location. I kind of question about giving TIF money to existing ones, whether the rules there or not. I think it should be designed to get into businesses here. I want to thank you, Mr. Shannon, for being so diligent on some of the things that you ask and look for, and I can see why you got so many votes for more than the mayor when you ran for city council and won the election. But now this is the last one. I'm going to talk about myself for a second. I think I've set some records in this building. I've spoken more times than anybody else here in this for public request to be heard, since I'm the one that got it on there. I'm also never missed a city council meeting in the 4 years I was in the city council. I think I'm the only council person, elected official, who can drive from his house down here without stopping. So that was kind of nice too. The new place, I'll have to go a little bit further. It's just I'm looking forward to the new building. hopefully I won't be coming as often. I'm just getting a little tired of coming and, you know, suggesting things that you should be doing, like the state auditor coming down here, the balance sheet, the monthly balance sheet, getting a full-time city attorney. I'm getting a little tired of saying these, and nobody takes any action on them. We need fiscal responsibility in the city. We need to have accountability, and I don't think we have that as much as we should have. Again, I had my grandson played on a select basketball team. He played here Friday night at Middle Mission School, and my son's in-laws from West Omaha, very influential area, came down here, and she said it was coming down to the boonies. You know, she said she was joking, but I don't think she really meant it. I said, well, the one thing is we don't have any potholes down here, so you don't have to worry about that. I just said, just be careful with the police. They might, you know, I'll try to call them and tell them that not to pick you up on your way out of town. But other than that, I'm looking forward to the new location, and I think you guys are doing a really good job. I just wish you'd be a little bit more accountable for what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frederick.
I neglected to mention one of the most important things we have going for us, and that is Eugene Curtin from the Bellevue Leader. It is. He gives such good coverage of you all and of this town, and he's such a good writer, and he especially is behind our Bellevue Little Theater, which we really appreciate him so much, because we have trouble getting people to come there, and we put on wonderful shows, and we would appreciate it if all of you would come and support us as well. Anyway, Eugene Curtin, thank you so much for all that you do about Bellevue and about everything. We really appreciate you. Let's give him a hand.
Thank you. And anyone else? Public request to be heard? Okay, I'll close the public request to be heard.
Mike.
Sorry, open my mic. Close the public request to be heard. Next item, item 15, closed session. Councilman Burns?
I move that the City Council go into closed session at this time for protection of the public interest. The subject matter to be discussed in closed session shall be litigation settlement update. The following individuals will be included in closed session: Joe Mangiamelli, Tim Buckley, Molly Miller, Acting Chief Dave Stukenholtz.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Cook. Vote. Okay, please vote. I vote yes.
All voted yes.
Okay, the City Council has voted to go into closed session at this time. Subject matter to be discussed in closed session shall be litigation of a settlement update. The following individuals will be included in closed session: City Administrator Joe Mangiamelli, Tim Buckley, Molly Miller, and Acting Police Chief Dave Stukenholtz. Council will now be in closed session.